In a remote village where all the inhabitants have long forgotten about the existence of witches, a mysterious woman who called herself Emily appeared. She was beautiful, charming, and many men fell at her feet. But local women warned their husbands and sons against communicating with her, claiming that she was a witch. But no one wanted to listen to the warnings, and one by one the men began to disappear. Their bodies were found later in the forest, completely dehydrated and desiccated. The townspeople began to realize that Emily really was a witch who lured men into her lair with the help of her seductive appearance. One of the men who decided to deal with the witch went into the forest, following a mysterious, attractive voice that led him to her hiding place. When he got there, he discovered that Emily actually had the face of a scary monster with sharp teeth and cat paws. She had taken him into her clutches and was going to sacrifice his soul to her ancient and sinister god. The man was able to escape from her grip and return to the village to warn everyone about the danger. Together with local women, they were able to organize a ritual bonfire that burned the witch to the ground. Since then, the village was free of witches, and men no longer fell under their spell. From that day on, the village was quiet, and the residents were no longer shy about talking about witches. They had recognized that magic and evil could actually exist, and now they were warned. However, since the witch was destroyed, strange events began to occur in the forest. Residents began to hear unexplained sounds, saw glowing eyes, and felt the presence of something dark and sinister. One day, 2 children disappeared in the village, and their tracks led to the forest. Parents and villagers gathered together to go on a search. When they came to the forest, they found a mysterious cave from which chilling screams could be heard. It turned out that after the witch's death, something sinister and evil remained in her former place of residence. It was an ancient and powerful evil that brought children into its terrible embrace. The villagers realized that they were facing a new challenge and that perhaps the witches were just the beginning. Now they had to fight this evil, explore ancient secrets, and use all their knowledge and wisdom to save their children and protect their village from the dark forces awakened by the death of a witch. The villagers realized that they were facing something much more powerful than ever before. They decided to turn to the sages and ancient elders to find out what ancient rituals and spells can be used to protect them from this evil. Having gathered all their strength and knowledge, the villagers began to conduct rituals of protection and called on the protective forces of nature. They created rituals that united the entire village into a single combat unit against this ancient evil. Their efforts were not in vain. With the help of ancient rituals, they were able to turn the dark forces against themselves and neutralize their influence. The dark forces that tried to capture the children were locked back into their sinister shelters. The children were found safely, and everyone in the village felt that their world was safe again. Despite all the trials, the villagers have only become stronger and more united. They realized that the power of true good always overcomes evil, and that, united, they could cope with any challenges, even the most terrible and powerful. Their village became a symbol of hope and strength for everyone who lived in the neighborhood, and a memorable lesson that any darkness can be overcome by light through joint efforts and faith and goodness. The villagers understood that even after overcoming this ordeal, they must be vigilant and maintain their connection with the spirits of nature. They dedicated their rituals and celebrations to the power of unity and goodness, to prevent evil from appearing in their world. Over time, the village became known for its rituals of protection from the dark forces. and people from other places came to learn from them methods to fight evil. The villagers became teachers and mentors, passing on their knowledge of protection and unity to other communities. Their village became a place of attraction for those who sought safety and wisdom, and their community became one of the most powerful centers of magic and light in the world. They have learned lessons from their past, and this has strengthened them both internally and externally as a community. Thus, they turned their art of protection into a gift for all who sought help, and their valor and wisdom were passed down from generation to generation. Their history became legendary, and their community remained an example of how the power of good and unity can always overcome evil, even the darkest and most powerful. Every year, the inhabitants of the village gathered to celebrate the day when they faced the dark forces and managed to defeat them, regaining peace. This day has become a symbol of their unity, wisdom, and strength. The villagers became known as guardians of magic and protection, and many came here to learn their secrets and learn their ancient knowledge about the preservation of light and goodness. Over time, the village became a beautiful and peaceful place with powerful energy fields that repelled any evil. Similar to impenetrable protection, the inhabitants were grateful to their ancestors that they had gained the strength and wisdom necessary to cope with such a powerful threat. Everyone who came to the village felt the protective influence of its magical powers, and knew that this was a special place where wisdom and goodness flourished. Thus, the village became a luminary of hope and wisdom, and people from all over the world sought to come here to find help and be filled with the power of magic and protection. The villagers devoted their lives to the struggle for light and goodness, and their harmonious neighborhood with the mighty nature continued to attract those who were looking for a path to wisdom, protection, and inner peace. And so every year the village became more famous and powerful. The villagers, using their ancient knowledge, helped other communities to protect themselves from evil and to join the light and wisdom. Their community became a center of learning, where magicians, healers, and simple seekers of truth came to replenish their knowledge and strengthen their souls. One day, a wandering sage named Edric arrived in the village. He heard about the strength and wisdom of the villagers and decided to come to learn their secrets. The villagers welcomed him with cordiality and told him about their history, how they managed to overcome the dark forces and become an oasis of light in a troubled world. Edric was invited to take part in their rituals and celebrations, and he soon became convinced that the wisdom and strength of the long-established community were exceptional. They taught him about how to maintain the balance of nature, the rituals of protection and pacification, and how to restore harmony in the world. Edric realized that this knowledge was valuable and should be preserved and passed on, so he decided to stay in the village and become her teacher. Over time, he became one of the most respected sages in the world, continuing to pass on the knowledge and wisdom of the ancient village to all the sages, healers, and magicians who aspire to light and goodness. So the village community became a center of study, protection, and peace for all who sought the path to light and wisdom. Her magical power continued to attract those who needed protection and reliability, and became a symbol of the struggle for light and goodness in the world. And so the village became a center where sages, healers, magicians, and seekers of truth gathered. They came from all over the world to learn ancient wisdom, rituals of protection, and harmony with nature, which were passed down from generation to generation. Over time, the village became the place where the Academy of Magic and Protection rose, where those who sought to master the ancient knowledge of the fight against evil and preserve the light and good in the world studied. Students of the academy became defenders of peace, going on trips to fight evil and transform the world into a place of light and harmony. This ancient way of life of the village continued to strengthen, and its mighty magical power continued to serve as a bulwark of protection and light. People have always found solace and support in the village, and their community has been an unparalleled example for many communities around the world. The ancient village lived forever and guarded light and wisdom over the years, becoming the guardian of magic and goodness for all who needed protection and wisdom.